What's up, guys? Welcome to the video! It's around the holidays. Christmas is coming up, New Year's, Thanksgiving, and a lot of you guys will be traveling to family or just vacation or whatever. So, being almost a travel expert, I say almost because definitely people have traveled more than I have. But I feel like in the past year, I've definitely traveled a lot. So, I decided to give y'all some tips, some tricks, just kind of general info too that sometimes people forget when they are like scrounging to pack things. So, let's get started. Okay, so I've kind of separated it into 3 categories. One is flying, one is driving, and then one is just kind of in general kind of packing information. So I'm gonna start with flying. I've kind of figured out how to navigate through the airports and stuff. One of the number one things is the bag or the backpack that you are using. So I always try to do carry-on. I mean, sometimes it's hard. Like, it depends how long you're going for. If you're going for like 3 weeks, obviously you're probably gonna need a bigger bag. You'll probably just have to check it in. But if not, try to do carry-on as best as you can. I'll show you some like tips on how to pack later in the video, so if you want to watch that, you can just keep watching. But this is the one that I use. Yep, it's like the size of my torso. And this is great because it's a carry-on, so I can just stow it above my seat, and like I don't have to check in my bag, I don't have to go through all that crap. And it's actually pretty spacious, so I can fit quite a lot of stuff in here. Like, I was gone for like 2 weeks one time, and I think I only brought this. I could be lying. Or no, I think it was like a week and a half. So, and then I only brought this, and it was good. And I also bring my other backpack, which is big enough to hold like a laptop, because I usually have to bring my laptop, especially if I'm like vlogging or something. I'll bring my laptop, like my chargers, everything like important in there. Always bring like a good sized bag. Try to do carry on as much as possible. It saves time, saves money. It's just, ultimately, it's much better. Speaking of saving time, you want to get to the airport in enough time. I mean, it kind of depends on what time your flight is too, because sometimes, you know, like, especially like around the holidays, it's going to be a lot busier in the airports. So get there like 2 hours before your boarding time, because you want to make sure that you have enough time to get through security, check in. If you haven't printed your boarding pass, print it at the thing, at like the little kiosks or whatever. And then like get through security, get to your gate, make sure you've got everything. So you don't want to like leave yourself so little time that you're like freaking out and rushing. Me and Andrea, when we went from Vegas to Irvine, I mean, we were in Vegas, so we had stayed up till about 4 in the morning, like just like hanging out, partying, whatever. And our flight was at like 6. I mean, we were like on the strip, or just off the strip, and the airport is on the strip, so we weren't really far. It's just like her cousin was gonna drive us, but like he wouldn't wake up. And so then we had to call a taxi, so that took extra time. So we got to the airport like 5:30, and our flight was like 6:30. And like, that sounds like a lot of time, but they board before, like they board like what, 30-45 minutes before the flight like leaves. So we literally were like booking it through security. We like ripped our shoes off. I was like holding my shoes in my hand. I like had one in my backpack and it like fell out. And Andrea was like, "Spend your shoe." I was like, "Just grab it for me." We ended up getting there in okay timing. We got there like right as they started boarding. So it was stressful. So make sure you leave enough time so that you don't do that, because running through the airport in your socks is never fun. I mean, it's fun later, but at the time, it's not a good thing. And speaking of socks and shoes, bring shoes that you can slip off and on again, because like if you are in a rush, you don't want to have to like take off your freaking knee-high boots with like laces all the way up to the top. Like, that's way too complicated. So just bring like Vans or something that you can just like slip on and slip off, or like flip-flops even. And that way it makes it a lot faster and it's just more convenient. And as far as what to bring like kind of with you on the flight, bring an empty water bottle. You can't take water bottles, like full water bottles or any like full liquids through security. So, it's kind of like, this is like a hack almost. Like, you can't take it through security, so then you just bring an empty one, and then you can fill it up at like a water fountain before you get onto your flight. So once you're at the gates and there's like restaurants and like all these things and like bathrooms, you can go fill it up. Which doesn't make sense, but you can. Also bring like gum or something chewy, especially if your ears pop a lot. Mine do a lot, so I always bring gum because it makes my ears not pop as much and it doesn't give me like a headache. So bring something chewy so that your ears don't pop when you're in the altitude, high altitude and all that. Another thing is also, there are certain requirements for the like liquids and like gels and stuff that you can have. I don't exactly remember. I think it's like 3-ounce bottles and they all have to be in like one giant Ziploc bag. So make sure you do that beforehand so that you don't have to like end up throwing away like your huge bottle of your favorite shampoo or whatever, because that is super annoying. And in my opinion, this is just like a little tip. I think that early flights are the best for 2 reasons. 1, you can sleep. 2, it's typically less crowded than later flights, but I mean, that also depends on the day. Like I had a flight last year coming home that was Christmas Eve morning and the airport was actually pretty packed. So, but I mean, it was also Christmas time, so obviously a lot of people were leaving. But I still think early flights are the best because you can sleep, you get to your destination early in the day, so you're good to go for the rest of the day, do whatever you want. And then you're not like jet lagged, because sometimes you get right off the plane and you're just like, I just want to sleep all day. But you've already slept on the plane, so. Now let's get to driving. I have also done this because I drove when I moved from here, so Bay Area, California, to Arizona, to Utah, back to California, so a little square there. So all of those were like 12 to 15 hour drives. So yeah, that was interesting. If you're taking like a road trip, if you are like somebody who's able to drive, take turns. Because I drove when I moved from Utah back home, back here, I drove the whole way and it was like a 14-hour drive. I don't know why I insisted on driving the whole way, because my brother was with me, but I just was like, you know what, I just need to like just crank it out. Like, I don't know why, I just wanted to. But by the end of it, like the last 2 hours, I was so exhausted. I was like screaming along to the songs that we were playing. Like it was like 10 o'clock at night. I was so tired. It was so bad. Just take turns, let the person driving have a break. You can have a break, like, so that everyone's happy, no one's losing their mind. When you are driving, it's a lot harder to kind of plan when you're gonna arrive, because like obviously with planes, you picked the time, you know, so like you know when to land, but you know there's also like delays and stuff, so it just depends. But with driving, that's 100% like random. A lot of times you can plan like, oh, it's gonna take 7 hours, but then you hit an accident. Like you don't get an accident, but like you hit an accident and then it adds 2 extra hours, and then like you can't go to that thing you were gonna go to. So I always add an extra 2 hours onto my time. So I say like, okay, an hour for stopping usually, and then another hour for like extra traffic or whatever. And that's pretty minimum. Like I feel like that's if I don't have to get to a certain place on time, but if I have to, then I'll add like even an extra hour, because who cares if you're early, but if you're late, and then if you have like something to go to, that's not gonna be fun. Last thing for driving is make sure you bring plenty of food, because you don't wanna have to stop for food all the time. Depends how long you're driving too, but if you just have snacks, you can snack on it throughout the drive. Like you're not just dying like, oh my gosh, we have to stop at Wendy's and that's not in another 30 miles, like, cause that happens, especially if you're going like for a long road trip. Then usually there's like long stretches of like 2 to 3 hours where there's literally nothing. Kind of on the same page as like stopping. Make sure that every time you stop, you fill up gas, because like I said, there will be long stretches of time where you won't have anything. So like if you didn't fill up gas the last time and then you're running really low and then the next gas station isn't for another 20 miles and you're like, well, I can't make it, that's not gonna be fun. So make sure you stop for gas every time, fill it up, even if it's like a quarter tank that you need to fill up. I got interrupted. Even if you just have to fill like an extra quarter of the tank, that's much better than having to fill up, or than having to like walk 10 miles to like get gas, and then like, yeah. Now, as far as packing, I'm gonna show you guys like kind of how I pack stuff, because I want to show you how to pack so that you can like squish a bunch of stuff at once. There's 2 ways. One is just like rolling stuff really tight, Or also I found that if you don't like fold the t-shirts all the way, but you kind of like fold them half the way, or like just even lay them out flat, you can stack a lot more, so it's not as bulky and you can like add more things. So I'll show you that. I apologize for my voice. I probably sound like I have a frog in my throat because I am sick. I'm recording this on a different day and I sound funny. So this is 5 t-shirts right here. So you see how much space this takes up? Like, let's put it in right here. It takes up a good like chunk of the suitcase. So here is the rolling way. So I'm gonna unfold it all the way, turn it over. I just kind of fold it really thin, so I just folded it in half. And you can either do it one more or just leave it at that. And then I'm just gonna roll it super tight, like a sleeping bag, like a yoga mat, whatever. Just roll it super tight. And I'm gonna stick that in here. All right, now I'm gonna do that with the rest of them. With this method, you're able to see all of my 5 t-shirts fit in that little section, and I could easily put another row or 2 or whatever on top of it, and I still have all of this left. So it definitely helped with the space. Now I'm going to show you guys the other option. Basically what I'm going to do is I just unroll them and just let them in like that little small fold, and now what I'm going to do is just place it in my suitcase like that. And what I do is, because my suitcase isn't long enough, I just fold like the very end of it so that it fits. You can't even see because the shorts are black, but you can see how there's so much space. Like, I have all of this extra space to put on top. Like, I can put any pants, whatever, underwear, anything. There's a lot more space. So those are 2 optimal ways to pack. For both flying, for both driving, whatever, bring something to be occupied. I usually listen to podcasts on flights because most of my flights have been short. They've been like 2 hours. So I usually just bring a podcast, or like, not bring a podcast. I download a podcast or 2 and then just listen to them. I like Full Frontal by All Time Low, or like by Alex and Jack. It's kind of awkward though because I'll be like listening and I'll like start laughing and like there's like everyone around me, but like I can't hear what I'm listening to. It's just really awkward. But it's entertaining and then it makes the flight go way faster. I haven't even read this yet, but here is a good book. Yeah, you can bring like a book or get a podcast or just have like a playlist or something that you listen to. Something to keep you occupied, because otherwise you will freaking lose your mind. Like, it'll be so boring if you don't. Also, you are gonna wanna bring a pillow or something to sleep on. I usually bring a stuffed animal. So like, I'll bring this, because then I can just like cuddle it and just like knock out. Like, bring a pillow, bring whatever you want. I bring a blanket too, so I mean, whatever. But either way, like driving or flying, you're gonna want to sleep, usually, especially if you're in like a middle seat or something and you're just like so bring a pillow. And I think just like a fun thing, like if you want to get like souvenirs, make sure you have enough money. I will show you some souvenirs that I have. Got this in Seattle in 2012. It's a sculpture thing made out of ash from like when Mount St. Helens exploded or something. But it's like of the Space Needle thing, is that what it's called? Yeah. I got this in 2012 when I went for the Ed Sheeran concert. My mom just came back from New Orleans. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you the whole time. This shirt, she got me this shirt. It says New Orleans, Louisiana. I'll show you the back. This is the back of my shirt. It's got an alligator on it and it says New Orleans, Louisiana. And my mom also had to stop in the Dallas airport, so she got me a Texas shirt. It's kind of small though, so probably can't actually wear it. But yeah, definitely get souvenirs. I think it's fun. Because like pictures are great, but also I think having like actual like a physical thing is really awesome. Plan ahead because it'll just save stress, time, and you won't be going crazy. Buy something for somewhere for the holidays. Let me know if these tips or whatever helped, or if you thought it was boring or something. Great holiday season. Hope you eat a lot of food during Thanksgiving. If you celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a great Christmas. And I will see you guys very soon for another video. Peace out. Love you. Bye.